clearly a lot of discussion around sort of not so much digital technologies and whether we should use them or not. We are immersed now in the post-digital, um, uh, but also around artificial intelligence and how this will change teaching and learning. So, how do we cut through the hype? How much of this do you think is hype, and what will be retained? If we take a future view, maybe Kasturi, you can speak
Okay.
to that.
It was quite interesting to learn, Sukaina, that the first kind of AI boom happened in 1950.
Mm,
And then in the 70s, we went through a winter. And so it seems to be a recurring kind of trend wave, etc. For me, the biggest thing is to make the most of the hype,
mm,
is to really, while it is expanding and everybody is involved in it, garner for it whatever it is that can help us support us in the teaching and learning project. I think that if we can use it as a support, as a tutor, as a resource in the classroom, then I think fantastic. But it does mean we need an AI literacy around it with our staff and students. So we're not buying wholesale into the hype, but we're standing back and saying, we've got a critical angle on this, and we're going to use it to the best of our ability for our project.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely critical. There are a couple of concerns for me around the ethics aspect,
Yeah.
data privacy, thinking about the preservation of the human interaction in the classroom. Certainly, we need to be mindful of the realities, and that is we need to absolutely understand the digital literacies of incoming students, especially in our first year, that there's a massive gap that we need to fill. We find a way to embrace the things that work for us, because while these challenges are there across the higher education sector, we need to ask ourselves what's going to work here at UCT.
I think I want to build on Linda's point, what works at UCT,
mm,
and maybe to just expand that a bit in terms of what works in our context. And I think leadership can't happen from a place of textbook knowledge, principles and practices that we've studied on a course, but it is a combination of understanding how it works, but being very responsive to what's actually going on in your context on the ground.
The key matters for me are well, there are a couple of them. Okay. So the first, I think, is to build really solid and open relationships with our students. I find that that really works for me in the classroom and out of the classroom. I think I'm lucky because I come to the role and I'm still an academic. So I still teach and supervise and research. So that really helps. The other is really around trusting your team and providing an enabling environment for people to flourish. I think that's the role of leadership, no matter what level you're at. I think definitely experiment with new tools. Go out there, try something different. I'm always amazed, even with our curriculum review project that we've got on throughout the university, um, that it seems to be a sort of anathema that people should look at their curriculum. I'd, I find that absolutely bizarre. Any good educator would be looking at its material as one is going through teaching it. At the end of the session, you'd be thinking, "How can I do this better?"
what advice would you give
Sure.
um, teachers in the classroom?
Yeah, thanks, Sakina. I think the greatest challenge, in my experience of working with academics, is the kind of generational gap that younger academics feel more ready to take on the new and design, etc. Um, More established academics are less easy, right? So we need to do some of that convincing,
Mm,
and we've got to do both. And I think there's a lot of tried and tested that works, right? And a lot of people will advocate for the in-person, human
mm,
contact, etc. But we've also got to do the stretch. I've watched that across a whole lot of programs, and I think that that is an enabler for teachers to think about what it means to innovate in a changing environment. That stability support. That's what we're here for.